This is The Caretaker, and you are listening to The Graveyard Show.
Welcome to The Graveyard.
And welcome to another edition of the Graveyard Show podcast. I am your caretaker, and the graveyard is open. So I finally got to see the film in a violent nature, and I have to say, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Now, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, so don't worry. But let me get back to the film. So part of me thought we are always looking for new things from the horror genre, and this film is definitely that. Imagine a Friday the 13th film from Jason's point of view. What does he do in between killing? Well, in this film, the slasher, Johnny is his name, does a lot of walking, and I mean a lot of walking. And in a way, it kind of makes sense because he does need to get to whatever destination he's going to, and it's certainly a unique way to present it, as opposed to how we're normally used to seeing our favorite slashers just appear when they're needed in the film. Now, the kills do pay off, and they do vary from really gory to not at all. The directing is solid, the photography is very well done, and this is also a film that has no soundtrack, so it really relies on the sound design, which I thought was well done as well. Rye Barrett, who plays Johnny, is very solid in the role, and I can't imagine how physical the role was for him. Not only does he do a ton of walking in the movie, at one point he enters and exits a lake fully clothed. So I'm sure that was real pleasant for him to do. Now, let's get to the problems that I had with the movie. The problem that I did have with this film is that it's a little too much peek behind the curtain, if I could say that, on the killer. I don't think we needed to follow Johnny around as much as we did. It's kind of like playing a video game that you have no control over. You're following behind him as he's walking for most of the movie. And that's the other thing, too. A lot of people have also notated this in their comments. He does so much walking that we all kind of feel like we got our 10,000 steps in watching the movie. I think it was the first movie I actually lost weight watching. There really is a lot of walking in the movie. The other thing is that I'm just not sure who the story is about. Whose story is it? We spend so much time in the beginning of the movie watching Johnny and following him, but when we finally get to the group of his victims, suddenly we jump cut to them, and we suddenly are spending time with them, and then we jump back to Johnny. So I understand that, you need to introduce the characters of the movie, but I thought it would have been a whole lot more interesting seeing those characters from Johnny's perspective. It's almost like the less we know about them, the better, because, really, at the end of the day, Johnny doesn't really know much about them either, and I think that could have made for a much more interesting film doing that. Now, as I mentioned, the kills do pay off when they actually do happen. Some of the kills are so over the top that it was almost like the filmmakers were trying to make up for the long amount of time between kills. There's even one scene where Johnny kills someone in a manner where it's done in a static shot, and the victim clearly looked like a mannequin. Not that I actually expected the real actor to be murdered, of course, but you get my point. We're in the static shot, and you see this body, and from what you're seeing that it's a mannequin, or it's obviously not the actor. So I think that could have been done better if there were some cover shots of the actor, reacting or doing other things. Again, I don't want to give it away, so I think that could have been a lot more effective. But my biggest issue with the movie was the last 15 minutes. Instead of the movie resolving when we get to the point where we feel like there's going to be resolution, we got this really long, extended ending that kind of goes nowhere. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that they had to pad the movie in order to get the running time up. Because I think the scene itself would have worked better if they put it somewhere else, probably earlier in the film. But instead, they chose to go ahead and shoot this and add this scene at the end. And it's a little disappointing because you're kind of like, well, what's going to happen here? And you're kind of waiting and you're kind of trying to figure out like what's going to happen. And then it just kind of doesn't go anywhere. Now, I'm going to say this. I mean, Chris Nash did a really fantastic job putting this movie together. He and his team of his crew, really, they know how to make a movie. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what his next film is going to be. I'm also really curious to see how this film is looked at in years to come. There is a very distinct look to it. There's a very distinct feel to it. So I'm curious to see how horror fans respond to this movie 10 years, 20 years down the road, and how it kind of fits in the annals of horror. Again, I don't know if it's a good film or a bad film. It's definitely a different film. And again, you get your money's worth. The money's on the screen. And the other thing I want to say too is, I mean, to set these scenes up the way that they did, where you have Johnny walking these distances and leading into scenes that are already happening, that took a lot of time, I'm sure. A lot of preparation, a lot of cueing, and a lot of work between the director and his AD teams and camera and all that. So, I mean, technically, this is an amazing movie. I just feel like it just slightly missed the mark a little bit. But again, I may watch this movie in a year from now and I may just absolutely love it. So if you've seen the movie, please leave comments below, or you can email me at gyspodcast@gmail.com. gyspodcast@gmail.com. Well, Beyond Fest is upon us, and in just a little bit, I'm going to go through the slate of films that will be featured this year. But before I get to that, let's look at some news and notes. First, for those of us that are Jaws fanatics, me being one of them, I came across an interesting article on the website The Daily Jaws. It looks like director Steven Soderbergh has been working on a book about Jaws for these last 15 years. Now, according to the website, filmmaker, director Steven Soderbergh has revealed at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, that he is working on a love letter book about the making of Jaws. Like everyone else who saw it, the classic 1975 Spielberg shark film made quite an impact, inspiring the writer and director of Sex, Lies, and Videotape and Contagion to get into filmmaking. Obsessed with the film, starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss, he wore out numerous copies of The Jaws Log by Carl Gottlieb. I highly recommend that book. If you don't have it, find it, get it, read it. Who both featured in the Martha's Vineyard set film, doubling for Amity, and was co-screenwriter with Peter Benchley, the author of Jaws. Soderbergh, quoted in an article by The Hollywood Reporter, said, "I've been working on this thing, the book, that is ostensibly about directing and uses as its spine an analysis of the making of Jaws day to day. The book would be unlike others written about the making of the film and would be more Jaws as film school." The Oscar-winning director continued, "The book is not for general consumption. This is for people who are interested in films, either as moviegoers or who want to do this job, because if you're going to do this job, you need to understand the job. This is the job." Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to stop here. I can't wait to see that, and I think that's a great idea, because Steven Soderbergh's a great filmmaker. He understands how to make movies. He's made all different types and forms of films. And I think, especially for anybody who's looking to get into the film business, you need to read something like that and understand what it takes and how a film is made. It's very important. It's more than just going to set, shooting a movie, cutting it, scoring it, and then editing and color correcting, and then up it goes. There are a lot of pieces to making a movie. So I think this would be a great idea. He has been working on this for quite a long time, as I had mentioned, and he is hopefully this book will come out soon, and by soon, maybe in the next 15 years or so. Also, if you are a fan of Jaws and you are not familiar with the Daily Jaws website, just go to thedailyjaws.com. It's a fun website, and they have some really great articles that come up, and some great stuff about the film. Now it's time to talk about some projects from some friends of the show. First, I wanted to mention that our friends Paul Overacker and Marjorie DeHay have a new film available on streaming called Immortal Thieves: The Bloody Heist. The film was written by Marjorie, and Paul directed the movie. The synopsis is as follows. Lucky is forced back into a life of crime with one big heist that sounds too good to be true. Teamed with his former crew, an ex-girlfriend who despises him, and the two psychotic female bodyguards of his former boss, Lucky knows he is in over his head. To make matters worse, Lucky doesn't know what he is stealing and why his former boss is so desperate to have it. Lucky forges ahead with the burglary only to realize that he might be stealing from something supernatural and that his whole team may be out to get him. Immortal Thieves: The Bloody Heist can be found on Amazon. You can also go way back to Tombstone number 18 when Paul Overacker and Marjorie DeHay joined me on the Graveyard Show podcast to discuss their film at the time, Bottle Monster, which you can also stream online as well. Our friends over at Creator VC have been very busy lately. They just released their super documentary called Aliens Expanded about the classic James Cameron film. You can still purchase a digital bundle for the film for $17.99, which includes a digital copy of the film, digital soundtrack, digital score, digital booklet, and desktop backgrounds, which I think would be digital as well, thus making it a digital bundle. You can order this at aliens-expanded.com. That's aliens-expanded.com. Creator VC just recently announced their latest super documentary, and it's about another sci-fi classic. This time, they will take on John Carpenter's The Thing. And the super documentary is appropriately called The Thing Expanded. Now, unfortunately, the pre-order window has closed, but you can always stay on top of the news about the film by going to creatorvc.com. That's creatorvc.com. Several members of the Creator VC team have joined me here on The Graveyard Show in the past. So if you want to catch those interviews, I've interviewed director David Weiner, who did In Search of Darkness 1, 2, and 3. He's currently working on In Search of Darkness 1990 through 94, which will be coming out, and as well as the In Search of Tomorrow film about 1980 sci-fi movies. Ian Nathan, who directed Aliens Expanded and will be directing the upcoming The Thing Expanded. Robin Block, who is the owner of Creator VC and the producer of these films, and Weary Pines, who scored the In Search of Darkness 1, 2, and 3 films, as well as In Search of Tomorrow. So you can go backlog here and go look through my graveyard. You'll find their tombstones everywhere around here, especially David. I think David Weiner's been on this show more than me. And then also, you can find the trailer for The Thing Expanded on the Graveyard Show podcast YouTube channel, among other video channels that the Graveyard Show is a part of. Now, speaking of which, if you are a subscriber to the Graveyard Show podcast's channel online, you would have seen a lot of trailers that I have recently uploaded. I'm going to quickly go through those films right now for you in case you haven't seen them. I'm going to go through them in order of release. The first is Clawfoot, which is about an upper-class housewife is tormented by a manipulative contractor hired to remodel her bathroom. Clawfoot is available on digital September 23rd. Inherit the Witch. In 1984, a family throws a birthday party for twins Corey and Jesse. 30 years later, what's left of the family reunites for the father's funeral at two isolated houses in the New Forest, England, historically a hotbed of witchcraft. There, horrific truths are slowly uncovered about the family's occult pact with an ancient evil that has secretly been at the core of their wealth and power, as the remaining siblings uncover the true bloody darkness behind their inheritance. Inherit the Witch is available on digital September 24th. Sleep. Sleep follows newlyweds Hyun-soo, played by Lee Sun-kyun of Parasite, and Sojin Jung-Yu-mi, whose domestic bliss is disrupted when Hyun-soo begins speaking in his sleep, ominously stating someone's inside. From that night on, whenever he falls asleep, Hyun-soo transforms into someone else. With no recollection of what happened the night before, overwhelmed with anxiety that he may hurt himself or their young family, Soo-jin can barely sleep because of this irrational fear. Despite treatment, Hyun-soo's sleepwalking only intensifies, and Soo-jin begins to feel that her unborn child may be in danger. A new thriller from director Jason Yu, who worked with Korean legends Bong Joon-ho and Lee Chang-dong before making his debut film Sleep, world premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. Sleep will be in theaters and on digital September 27th. The Deserving. A tormented, mute serial killer haunted by the ghosts of his victims plans to end his life, but his resolve is disrupted when a desperate walk-in client arrives needing an urgent photo shoot. The Deserving will be available on demand and digital October 1st. Vampire fans, well, The Radleys is coming. Award-winning actors Kelly MacDonald from No Country for Old Men and Damian Lewis from Billions, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, star in a dark comedy thriller about a seemingly average suburban family with a juicy secret. They're vampires. In the light of day, the Radleys might seem normal, but they can only abstain from their natural cravings for so long until the bloody truth bubbles to the surface and turns their quiet country life upside down. The Radleys will be available in theaters, on demand, and digital October 4th. Bloodstar. A young pickpocket is driving cross-country back to her abusive boyfriend when she's targeted by a small-town sheriff who shoots her off the road. That sounds fun. A deadly game of cat and mouse ensues, and she must use her street smarts to survive. Bloodstar premieres at Grimfest October 6th and will be available on digital October 7th. Terrifier 3! Art the Clown is back, and he's set to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of Miles County as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve. Terrifier 3 will definitely be in theaters October 11th, and you can also check out Tombstone 54, where Damien Leone joined me here on the Graveyard Show podcast to discuss Terrifier 2. Children of the Pines. Over her winter break, Riley, a college student, is persuaded by her estranged parents, Kathy and John, to visit home to fix their fractured relationship. As Riley settles in, she discovers that her parents have developed an unsettling friendship with her high school ex, Gordon, and that mysterious children are now living in the house. A series of disturbing flashbacks reveal Kathy and John's time at an eerie, unconventional couples therapy retreat that promise to heal their problems through supernatural means. As the day progresses, Riley starts to uncover the dark and twisted truth of her parents' desperate attempts to mend the deep issues plaguing their family. Children of the Pines will be coming to digital October 18th. And that wraps up news and notes. I hope you enjoyed hearing about those films. And again, you can catch all those trailers on the Graveyard Show podcast YouTube channel and other video channels as well. All right, let's talk about Beyond Fest. Beyond Fest is back for its 12th year. It's presented exclusively by Neon and programmed and produced in partnership with American Cinematheque. Beyond Fest returns to the Egyptian Theater, Aero Theater, Los Feliz 3, and Vista Theater, running from September 25th through October 9th. Now, I'm going to tell you, a lot of this, unfortunately, is sold out, as you can imagine. However, don't be discouraged, because you never know. Maybe you have a friend who has tickets. Maybe you know someone who can get you tickets. Or at the very least, these are films that you can keep a lookout for if they ever are opening in your area, or maybe if you ever find them online, whether it's on a website or streaming somewhere. So just keep a lookout for these films. And I will give you more details on the Beyond Fest website after this. So let's start talking about Beyond Fest 2024. So I'm going to go through each theater and tell you what's playing there. So I'm going to start with the Egyptian Theater. Devara Part 1 will be there. It's a special screening. Hush, the Shh cut. It's going to be the world premiere. And Mike Flanagan, the director of the film, will be there in attendance. Lake Mungo, the international premiere, the 4K restoration, will be playing there. You're going to have a special introduction by Mike Flanagan. Ed Wood, the 30th anniversary in 35mm, will be screened there as well. Screenwriters Larry Karaszewski and Scott Alexander will be in attendance. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre's 50th anniversary special screening in 35mm. a lot of people are going to be there in attendance for that. So you can you can find out online who's going to be there for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 50th anniversary. Then there's also going to be the world premiere of Chain Reactions. The director of the film, Alexander O'Phillip, will be there in attendance. Darkman, the special screening in 35 millimeter. Sam Raimi, the director, will be in attendance. He will also be there as well for The Quick and the Dead, as well as Drag Me to Hell. So Sam Raimi is going to be there for 3 films. Then you have The Fall. Director Tarsum Singh will be there in attendance. Terrifier 3 will be screened there. It'll be its West Coast premiere. Also, West Coast premiere of It's What's Inside. Director Greg Jardin will be in attendance. The Platform 2 is going to be making its U.S. premiere. It's a film out of Spain. The 20th anniversary of Hellboy will be screened as well. Ron Perlman, Hellboy himself, will be there in attendance. Also, the 30th anniversary screening of The Crow, the classic, and Tarsum Singh's film, The Cell, will have its 4K restoration world premiere there. 20th anniversary, oh my gosh, is it really 20 years already? 20th anniversary screening of Saw. Wow. Carrie Elways, Lee Wanell, Oren Cools, producer Mark Berg, and Tobin Bell himself will be there for that. We're going to be seeing the world premiere of Jimmy and Stiggs. Director Joe Begos and producer and editor Josh Ethier will be there. The classic David Lynch film Dune will be there. Now, Kyle MacLachlan will be there for that, but he's also going to be there as well for the special screening of Blue Velvet and The Hidden as well. So Kyle MacLachlan is going to be very busy at Beyond Fest here at the Egyptian Theater. Hey, Godzilla -1 minus color will be screened, as well as Shin Godzilla Orthochromatic. The West Coast premiere will be there. That sounds very interesting. I'm looking forward to maybe trying to catch that. My Hero Academia, You're Next, will have its international premiere. Event Horizon, the Paul W.S. Anderson film, will be screened there, and he will be there in attendance. The West Coast premiere of Serpent's Path, director Kiyoshi Kurosawa will be there. Pulse, his classic film, he will be there for that as well. And then the 30th anniversary, oh man, where's the time gone? The 30th anniversary screening of Speed. Oh my gosh, Jan de Bont will be there, the director of the film, as well as Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock will be there in attendance. So that's what you can find at the Egyptian Theater. Now we're going to move to the theater I like to go to, the Aero Theater. We will be seeing at the Aero Theater Salem's Lot, the world premiere, as well as director Jennifer Kent's film, The Babadook, will have a special screening at the Aero Theater. Her other film, The Nightingale, will be there. And then Walter Hill's film, Southern Comfort, will have a special screening. Total Recall, it's going to be a special screening in 70 millimeter, will be there. Now, this next one, I can tell you, because I want to get tickets, this next movie is totally sold out. Scarface. And guess who's going to be there? Pacino. Yeah. Al Pacino is going to be there for the special screening of Scarface. So if you can get in, please let me know how it was. Sarah Paulson is going to be in attendance for the West Coast premiere of Hold Your Breath. Martha Marcy May Marlene will have a special screening there as well, and Sarah Paulson will be there for that as well. The classic buddy film, Lethal Weapon, will have a special screening there as well. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang will have a special screening. Shane Black's film, The Last Boy Scout, will have a special screening. The Nice Guys, director and writer Shane Black will be there in attendance for that. The Apprentice will be playing there. Oh, wow. Okay, get ready, folks. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven's classic. Heather Langenkamp will be there. Lynn Shay will be there. Amanda Weiss will be there. Ronnie Blakely will be there. All moderated by, oh man, Barbara Crampton. How awesome is that going to be? Again, if you get to see that, please let me know how it went. Melvin Goes to Dinner. It's an HD restoration world premiere. Bob Odenkirk's film that he directed. He will be there. Producer Naomi Odenkirk. Writer and actor Michael Blyden. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Actor Stephanie Courtney. Actor Matt Price. Annabelle Gurwitch. Producer DJ Paul. Producer Jeff Sussman. And DP Alex Vendler will all be in attendance for that. Night Bitch. That's a great title. It's going to have its world premiere there. Caitlin Durante and Jamie Loftus of the Bechdel cast will be in attendance. Little Bites, West Coast premiere. That's Spider-One's film. He will be there as well as Chrissy Fox. If you want to catch their interview that I did with them here on the Graveyard Show podcast, you can find that here as well. Not the world. It's going to be the West Coast premiere of VHS Beyond. That will be at the Arrow. Right now, the guests are TBC, to be confirmed. The West Coast premiere of A Real Pain, Jesse Eisenberg's film that he directed. The West Coast premiere of Bring Them Down, A Boy and His Dog special screening. Don Johnson will be there for that. The Hot Spot, Don Johnson will be there for that. Rumors, the West Coast premiere. You're going to have directors Guy Madden, Galen Johnson, and Evan Johnson will all be in attendance. The Green Fog will be there, directed by Guy Madden, Galen Johnson, and Evan Johnson. They will be there for that as well. Guy Madden will be there for his other film, The Saddest Music in the World, which will be making a special screening. Brand Upon the Brain, his other film from 2006 will be there. The Brutalist. It's going to be West Coast premiere in 70 millimeter. Director Brady Corbett will be there. Rich Flew from Spain will be playing there. Presence will have its West Coast premiere, Steven Soderbergh's film. Cloud will have its West Coast premiere, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's film. He will be there for that. And Chime, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's film. He will be there for that as well as it makes its West Coast premiere. Neon Theater at Los Feliz 3. Daniela Forever will be there. Sky Peels will be making its North American premiere. The Girl with the Needle will have its West Coast premiere. A Desert will have its West Coast premiere. Directors Joshua Erkman, producer Hugh Barbier, and Sarah Lind will all be there in attendance. A Man Escaped. This is American Cinematheque's weekly Sunday print edition series. Jennifer Kent will be there in attendance for that. The Last Sacrifice will be making its world premiere, and the director of the film, Rupert Russell, will be there. Maldoro will be making its West Coast premiere, a film from France and Belgium. Above the Knee will be making its world premiere, a film from Norway. Zero. Jean-Luc Hebulot, I apologize if I mispronounced that, and actor Hoos Miller will be there. And Cinematic Void presents A Bell from Hell will be making its world premiere 4K restoration. We will have Baal will be there. Night Call, Who's Watching will be making its world premiere. Director Tim Kasher and producer Josh Ithier will be there in attendance. Terror Vision Secret Screening, world premiere of the 4K restoration. Let's see. Director and actor will be there. Who is the director? Where is it? Well, it's a secret screening, so you'll have to just go and find out. A Rare Grand Alignment will be there. It's a film out of Finland. Sayara will be making its U.S. premiere. Ghost Killer will be making its West Coast premiere. Shadowland will be making its world premiere. Seconds, the John Frankenheimer classic. We will have director Joe Begos will be in attendance, and that's part of American Cinematheque's weekly Sunday print edition series. AJ Goes to the Dog Park will be making its West Coast premiere. Director Toby Jones and members of the cast will be there. Escape from the 21st Century will be making its West Coast premiere. Night Silence, U.S. premiere, and A Mother's Embrace will be making its international premiere. And that, We'll wrap up what you can see, or in some cases really won't be able to see since so much of it is already sold out, at Beyond Fest 2024. But just keep a lookout and keep your eyes open, because you just never know what you might find out and about at your local theaters or online. Okay, so tickets are on sale, and you can find those at BeyondFest, all one word, .com, and at the AmericanCinemaTech.com website. For latest developments, visit BeyondFest at their official site. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. So there you go, BeyondFest 2024. If you get a chance to go and see any of this stuff, I'm serious, please leave comments below, or you can email the program here at gyspodcast@gmail.com. I'm going to try to get to maybe one of them. If I can, we'll see. I don't know. It seems like, again, everything is just sold out. So there you have it. I'd also like to remind you that you can find my video production, Catacombs of Horror, which is available on the Graveyard Show podcast online channels. I recently uploaded 2 new Catacombs of Horror. One is The Art of the TV Spot. It's about, I think it was 7 movies I focused on that... and their commercials, or TV spots, as they're called, how effective they were, and how each one is different from the other. And the other one that I just recently uploaded is Analyzing Night of the Living Dead. It's a really good one. I intercut that with an interview that I did with author Kim Paffenroth, who's written about George Romero. And I took excerpts from that interview when we talked about Night of the Living Dead and applied it to this video. So it's not really it's not really talking about the movie as the movie itself. It's more like analyzing the film, discussing what's going on within the themes of the movie. I highly recommend it. If you like that, please leave comments. And if you want to see more of that, I could do one with Kim about Dawn, Day, and Land of the Dead, because we talked about all 4 of those films at that time, which was a long time ago. But and then I also intercut some of an interview that I did with Judith O'Day, who played Barbara in the original Night of the Living Dead. Some of her thoughts about working on the film as well. So there you have it. And I'm working on some new Catacombs of Horror videos as well, so stand by for those. I'd like to get those uploaded before Halloween, so you have something new to look at as well. And of course, here in the Graveyard, I've got tons and tons of interviews with filmmakers, authors, actors, actresses, just anybody from the world of horror. You can find them here. Horror hosts, tons of horror hosts. So please take a walk around my Graveyard. I have. I always try to keep it nice for you, so you don't have to trip over anything, and you can just browse and see the different tombstones that are out there. I've got a lot of interviews with a lot of people, dating back to 2009. So it's 15, 16 years of interviews that I have here inside the Graveyard. So please check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you're on other online video streaming services where the Graveyard Show podcast is available, please subscribe to that as well. And as always, I always look forward to all of your comments. And for those of you that have left comments in the past, you know that I do respond to them, and generally in a timely manner. So I always look forward to hearing from you. And love getting your comments, love your participation. And there are some users out or subscribers out there who have made some suggestions as to future videos. I have kept those in the back of my brain, and I will get to those. So I do pay attention to what you're saying, and I do interact with you as well if you comment. And that's what this is all about. This is a back and forth. I present something, give me your feedback. It's always appreciated, good or bad. As long as it's not just being mean and angry and annoying. If it's a good criticism, I will always accept that. All right, that's going to do it for me now. But I look forward to seeing you again here very soon. And as you exit the Graveyard, I would like to remind you to please lock the gate behind you. We wouldn't want anyone to get out. Until next time.